Colin Allred. I'm a fourth-generation Texan. I'm a husband and a father. I was raised here in Dallas by a single mom who's a public school teacher, and I've been shaped by every part of this state. My grandfather was a customs officer in Brownsville. That's where my mom and aunt were born and raised, where I spent a lot of my childhood. I was captain of the Baylor football team in Waco, trained for the NFL draft in Houston, and I've served my hometown in Dallas in Congress for the last 6 years. In that time, I've been the most bipartisan Texan in Congress. I'm the exact opposite of Senator Cruz, who's the most extreme senator in the United States Senate, maybe the most extreme in the last 30 years. But that's not enough. He's also only focused on himself. That's how you can go to Cancun when millions of Texans need you and hundreds are dying. The truth is, we don't have to be embarrassed by our senator. We can get a new one. That's what this election is all about. That's what I'm asking Texans to give me a chance to do.
Senator,
that was from the Texas Senate debate. You had the MAGA Republican Senator Ted Cruz right there, just getting absolutely skewered on Tuesday night by Democratic Congress member Colin Allred, who's running for that Texas Senate seat. It's a very close race. Some polls have Democratic Congress member Colin Allred ahead. Some have Ted Cruz ahead, but they're neck and neck. Let me show you some other highlights of this debate. Here, Colin Allred says that Ted Cruz treats the border like some safari hunt, and it's all for show. Play the clip.
And thank you for the question. This is personal for me. My family's from Brownsville. My grandfather was a customs officer there. He joined the Customs Department in 1939. It's where my mom and my aunt were born and raised, and where I spent a lot of my childhood. And I know that our border communities are real places where folks are trying to raise their families and get ahead. But time and again, Senator Cruz treats our border communities like he's going on some kind of a safari. He comes down, he puts on his outdoor clothes, he tries to look tough, and he goes back to Washington and does nothing to help. In fact, he does worse than nothing. When the toughest border security bill in a generation came up in the United States Senate, $20 billion for border security, he said, we don't need a border bill. That's what he said. And, listen, this is a pattern for him. He's never there for us when we need him. When the lights went out in the energy capital of the world, he went to Cancun. On January 6th, when a mob was storming the Capitol, he was hiding in a supply closet. And when the toughest border security bill in a generation came up in the United States Senate, he took it down. We don't have to have a senator like this. Let me be very clear. I believe in physical barriers as part of a comprehensive strategy to secure the border. We had a bill for $20 billion for 1,000 new Border Patrol agents, for more immigration judges, more asylum officers to help us deal with the backlog. I wanted to make sure we passed that. When I'm in the Senate, we will. And we'll also fix our broken legal immigration system. Senator Cruz has had forever, and he's done nothing to solve this problem. Why would we believe that he will with 6 more years?
Here, Colin Allred talks about Ted Cruz really shouldn't be talking about sports at all. Play this clip.
You have 60 seconds.
I mean, it's a lot. And I stand here as a proxy for millions of Texans who are sick and tired of this act. When Ted Cruz starts talking about team sports, you got to watch out, because the only position he ever played was left out. And I'm not trying to be mean, Senator, but sit this one out, please. Listen,
And by the way, Colin Allred was a star football player at Baylor University. He also had 5 seasons in the NFL. He was on the Titans. Someone who actually has been in professional locker rooms. And so he's like, really, Ted Cruz, you're talking about sports locker rooms? You know nothing about it. Here, Colin Allred talks about a pattern with Ted Cruz, that he's all hat, no cattle. Play the clip.
That we had a bill. This is a pattern. He talks tough, but he never shows up. We have a phrase for this in Texas: all hat and no cattle. That's what Senator Cruz is. 6 more years of this? Come on. He's had 12 years to do it already. Give someone who actually will a chance.
Here, Colin Allred, you can see how just well prepared he is in this debate. He goes, look, Ted Cruz just looked at the camera and lied to your faces. Watch this moment.
Senator, that's your time. Congressman, 90 seconds for a response.
Well, listen, it's time to finally tell the truth here. Senator Cruz just looked into a camera and lied to Texans about my position. Let's be very clear. You should look into the camera and speak to Kate Cox, who's watching right now, and explain to her why you said that this law that you said is perfectly reasonable, why she was forced to leave her 2 children behind and flee our state to get the care that she needed. Or look into the camera and talk to Amanda Zarowski, who's watching right now, and explain to her why it's perfectly reasonable that because she had a complication in her pregnancy and was denied care so long that she may never be able to have children of her own. Or to the 26,000 Texas women who've been forced to give birth to their rapist child under this law that you called perfectly reasonable. It's not. This is not freedom. I trust Texas women to make their own healthcare decisions. Allie and I have had two baby boys here in Dallas in the last 5 years. You're scared the entire time. You don't know what they're going to say. But I can't imagine if the doctor would come in, said there's a problem with the baby or a problem with Allie, but there's nothing I can do because Ted Cruz thinks he knows better. That's not who we are as Texans. When I'm in the United States Senate, we'll restore a woman's right to choose. We'll make Roe v. Wade the law of the land again. And we'll make these stories of seeing these horrific experiences going on all over our state something of the past. That's my commitment to Texans.
Congressman.
Next up, you had Colin Allred call Ted Cruz out for calling himself pro-life. Another powerful moment from this debate. Let's play it.
Trying to deceive the voters of Texas.
I want to jump in here because I think it's too important.
We'll give you 60 seconds.
I want to be very clear to the people of Texas. I support the protections and the restrictions under Roe. But Senator Cruz just called himself pro-life. You're not. You're not pro-life. It's not pro-life to deny women care so long that they can't have children anymore. It's not pro-life to force a victim of rape to carry their rapist's baby. It's not pro-life that our maternal mortality rate has skyrocketed up by 56%. That's not pro-life, Senator. So to every Texas woman at home and every Texas family watching this, understand that when Ted Cruz says he's pro-life, he doesn't mean yours.
Colin Allred then calls out Ted Cruz for supporting the January 6th mob. Let's play it.
Congressman, you have 90 seconds to respond.
Oh, that was really something. I have to say, you can't be for the mob on January 6th and for the officers. You can't. And it's not funny because you're a threat to democracy.
I found myself sending a lot of articles to friends and family from the Washington Post over the past few weeks, and as someone who's always staying on top of what's happening in the world, even outside of politics, I found the Post to be great at keeping me informed. If you're listening to the MeidasTouch podcast, I know you care about staying informed too. This podcast is sponsored by the Washington Post. When you head over to washingtonpost.com/Meidas, that's MEIDAS, our listeners can get an exclusive deal. Subscribe for just 50 cents a week for your first year. Yeah, you heard that right, just 50 cents. I just read an amazing article in the Washington Post the other day. It was called, quote, "The Reason People Say They Leave Donald Trump's Rallies Early." And they actually asked the floods of people who were walking out of Trump's rallies 20 minutes in why they were leaving. And by the way, if you're short on time, they've also got this awesome newsletter called The 7. It's a quick morning read or podcast that gets you caught up on the day's top stories in no time. The Washington Post app is also super helpful. You can listen to articles while you're multitasking or save stories for later. I've even signed up for their personalized For You newsletter, which sends me articles based on my interests every evening. With the election rapidly approaching, now is the time to sign up for the Washington Post. Go to washingtonpost.com/Meidas to subscribe for just 50 cents per week for your first year. That's 80% off their typical offer, so it's truly a steal. Once again, that's washingtonpost.com/Meidas, MEIDAS, to subscribe for just 50 cents per week for your first year.
Here is one of my other favorite parts from this debate where Democratic Congressman Colin Allred says, look, Ted Cruz is basically like the leader of angertainment and do nothing in Washington. He's the worst of the worst, and he's done nothing for the great state of Texas. Here, watch this.
Sure. You get 60 seconds, sir.
Sure. Well, I want to thank y'all for moderating. You did an excellent job. I want to thank Senator Cruz for a spirited debate. Listen, we're all Texans. My idol, John Lewis, used to say that we might have come here on different ships, but we're in the same boat now. We're all Americans, and we're all Texans. We need a leader who will bring us together around our shared values. That's what I've tried to do in my 6 years in Congress. That's the exact opposite of what Senator Cruz has done. Whatever he says tonight, you've seen it for 12 years. He's been one of the most divisive senators in the entire country. If you don't like how things are going in Washington right now, well, you know what? He is singularly responsible for it. He has introduced this new kind of angertainment where you just get people upset and then you podcast about it and you write a book about it and you make some money on it. But you're not actually there when people need you. Like when the lights went out, when 30 million Texans were relying on a senator to spring into action. He went to Cancun. That's who he is. If you give me the chance to be your United States Senator, I'll never abandon you. And I'm asking for your vote and for your support in this election.
Congressman.
Next, during the debate, they talk about IVF, and Colin Allred points out, look, the very fact that IVF needs to be protected right now is because Ted Cruz and other MAGA leaders in the House and Congress and Donald Trump had Roe v. Wade overturned, which opened up the door for things like IVF to be taken away too. Here, play this clip.
because IVF didn't need protecting until he got his way of going after it. No one was thinking that we needed to protect IVF until he was singularly responsible for pursuing, by putting in place judges at the district court level, the circuit court level, and Supreme Court level, folks who would put at risk this miracle technology. And you know what? It's not just that. When he ran for president in 2016, he supported the Personhood Amendment. You know what that means? That would make something like IVF illegal, but also ban certain forms of birth control. You did. You did. When you ran for president in 2016, you can look it up, folks. You don't have to believe me. Again, you've been seeing him lie to you for 12 years. Let's have a senator who doesn't. And I will always protect IVF, but it was at risk because of him.
Senator, 60 seconds.
I love this moment as well. This made me chuckle, where Democratic Congressman Colin Allred said, you know where Ted Cruz was on January 6th? He was the architect of it, and he was hiding in a supply closet when it was going down. Play the clip.
I took off my suit jacket, and I was prepared to defend the House floor from the mob. At the same time, after he'd gone around the country lying about the election, after he'd been the architect of the attempt to overthrow that election, when that mob came, Senator Cruz was hiding in a supply closet. And that's okay. I don't want him to get hurt by the mob. I really don't. This election is his accountability. You cannot just be patriotic when your side wins. If for the first time in 250 years, this project of ours, this shared American project, that we did not have a peaceful transfer of power, the folks responsible have to be held accountable. That's why Liz Cheney has endorsed me, has got involved in this campaign, and is saying to Texans everywhere, do not put Ted Cruz back in a position of authority, because he's done it once, he'll do it again.
And by the way, you know where Colin Allred was on January 6th? He took off his suit and he was ready to fight. He's ready to stand up for his colleagues, regardless of what political party they were from. I want to show you this moment as well. I had the opportunity to interview Democratic Congressman Colin Allred, and I asked him about people like Ted Cruz who go out there and want to try to act like they're alpha males. And I think it was an important part of the interview with Colin Allred. Watch this. Play it.
Ted Cruz would not last a second in a locker room. He would not last a second in an NFL locker room or my college locker room, because we could spot guys like him a mile away. We called them me guys. The me guys were the ones who were always looking out for themselves first, who didn't care about the team, who thought that they were just, that they're, you know, they were hot stuff. And they were also the ones who we would always find a way to kind of get them, chew them up and spit them out, because we couldn't have them on our teams. And when I was captain of the football team at Baylor, and if I ever saw somebody like that, I'd go right at them. I'd go right at them until I broke down whatever was causing them to think they were so special and make them to get on board with the rest of us, because we're trying to do something together. It's not about you. And we all have to remember that we are part of a cohesive community. As John Lewis used to tell us, we might have come here on different ships, but we're all in the same boat now. We're all Americans. And when you have leaders who think that they're more important than this entire project, a 250-year project that all of us, you know, over 300 million of us are a part of, then you have to make sure that they are no longer in positions of leadership. And so we got less than 40 days here. And I want everyone to know that here in Texas, we can make sure we get rid of Ted Cruz. So get involved with us. Go to colinallred.com. If you're in Texas, make a plan to vote. Check your voter registration status. Make sure you get out to vote. We can do this.
And by the way, just to give you a background on Colin Allred, as I said when I made this post that's got around 3 million views, I said, he's got one of the most incredible stories. High school class president. By the way, I was the high school class president. Fun fact. Football star at Baylor. Fun fact. Not a football star. I was not a football star. 5 seasons in the NFL, though I did run our college's Toastmaster Club, our public speaking organization. Sorry, I digress. 5 seasons in the NFL. Then he quit the NFL so he could go to law school at Berkeley Law. He then became a civil rights lawyer, worked in the Obama administration, became a congressman from Texas's 32nd congressional district, and now running for the Senate seat against Ted Cruz. Look, I've seen a lot of debates. I thought that was a masterclass by Colin Allred. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Thank you for watching and have a great day.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.